Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James and welcome back to our Unity Endless Runner tutorial series. Now in the previous episode we created a menu that appears when the player dies. So essentially just when you're walking along, once I start running here, as soon as you fall down you get a nice little menu that we can restart the game or quit to the main menu and have a few different options of what we want to do. But another important thing to be able to add is a pause menu for the game, because we want our players to be able to, if something interrupts them, to be able to stop playing a game and return to it whenever they're ready. So we're going to add a very simple and straightforward pause menu to the game, and it's going to be, again, much like our death menu was made using a lot of the same stuff that we use for our main menu. Our pause menu is going to use a lot of the same stuff that we used for our death menu. And in fact, we're just going to copy this death menu and use that as a basis for our pause menu. So I'm just going to duplicate this. So hit Control and D duplicates it, and we'll just rename this to, instead of death menu, it will be our pause menu. Okay, so now we're just going to set this to active so we can see what's going on. Okay, so in our pause menu, obviously we don't need to have it saying you died. I suppose we could change that to saying paused, or you could just completely take it out. You don't necessarily need a bit of text here, but we'll leave that there for now. It's fine, it doesn't do anything bad. And we've got our restart and our quit to main menu. Now obviously we're going to need another button, because if our game is paused, we need to be able to unpause the game or resume the game. So we're going to duplicate our restart button here. I'm just going to drag that above this, and I'm going to rename this to resume button, just so we know which one it is. And then I'm going to click on it, and in the scene view here I'm going to drag this up to roughly about the same distance as the other guys. That looks about right there. So there we go, we've got our restart, we got a resume, restart and quit to main menu. And obviously this restart has the wrong bit of text in it, so we're going to change this to just say resume. So that'll be what we use to resume the game. And now obviously as well, if we select no, we can't select multiples. Okay, but we need to get rid of this. We're going to replace this with a pause menu script. Oh, it's running off the pause menu object. I was wondering there for a second. I thought, why do we have a pause menu script when we don't have one created yet? Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, so now we've got a pause menu, but we're also going to need a way to turn on our pause menu when we're in the game normally. And the way we're just going to handle that is just a simple little button. It's the most straightforward way to do it. And the good thing about buttons as well is if you have any kind of images, let me just create an extra button here. We'll right click on the canvas and create an empty, no, not create an empty, what am I doing? Right click on it and go to UI and create a button. You can see there, and we're going to center that up to the top right because we're going to move it. If it'll let me, there we go. We're going to move it up to here. Obviously that's way too big as well. We're going to change the text on this to just say pause. But just for example, this is a button. Our target graphic that's being used is the default button image. It's the source image here. The UI sprite, which is just the one that's set up by default. But you could change that for anything else really. You could change it for the strange little coin and just adjust the size to whatever. In fact, you can just set it to automatically go to the right size. If you hit the set native size like that, it'll go to the right size of the coin, and that'll be fine. But we're not going to use that. We're just going to stick with a normal button for now. And I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller because we don't need our pause to be that big. Actually, now that I think about it, we should put the pause over on the left, because the player is going to be need to see as much of the right side of the screen as he can to be able to see platforms incoming. And we might actually just make it a little bit transparent so that it doesn't get in the way of anything in the game itself. So I'll actually change this corner to the top left. So there we go. Okay, so we've got a button, and we're going to obviously need to set up some scripting on that. And the same, we're going to need to set up some scripting on our pause menu. So we're going to create a new pause menu C# script. So we're going to call this pause menu, and we're going to open this up in MonoDevelop. And I already have our death menu open because our pause menu, if we look at our monodevelop here, our pause menu is it's going to require a restart game function and a quit to main function. So we've already written that for our death menu. So we'll literally just copy and paste all the code from there, delete the start and update functions, and pop that in there just like that. So we've got our restart and we've got to quit to main. And then we've got two new functions that we want to add. We want to add the ability to pause the game and unpause the game. So we'll say public void pause game, and our curly brackets, and then public void resume game, and our normal brackets and curly brackets. Okay, so what we're going to do, if we just popping into Unity here, for our dead menu, for example, and for our main menu, we use the holder that held all that stuff. So like our debt menu, top level menu here, we use that as what was going to be holding or having our debt menu script attached to it. But this time, we're going to attach that script to our pause button because we want to have this active in the game the whole time. And therefore we want to be able to pause the game at any time. Whereas if we just had it on the pause menu, our script would only become active when we pause the game, and then we wouldn't be able to have the ability to actually pause the game in the first place. So we're going to attach that script to our pause button here. We just go to add component and we'll type in pause. There we go. We got our pause menu. So there we go. And again, we need to put in the string name of our main menu, which we should copy over, but I know it's main menu. Okay, so we got our pause button there. And now we want to make sure we can add that function on here. So we'll drag a pause button onto itself here. And instead of no function, we're going to pause menu. And this will be what we use to pause the game. Now, obviously, we need to fill out the script inside now, but we've got that set up. So while we're here, we might as well set up the other buttons on our pause menu as well. So there's our resume button. And that should... Oh, yes, we need to remove that component. Okay, so then on our resume button, we need to drag our pause button into that slot and then go down to here and then resume game, restart, exact same thing, down to here, and we'll go to restart, and finally our quit, drag the pause button into the slot, go down to pause menu, and then quit to main. So there we go. We got our buttons set up, but now we need to make them actually do some stuff that we want them to. So the simplest way to pause a game of the type that we're using here, because we haven't got any timer counting, the only kind of time related thing we have going on is the score counting upwards, and we'd obviously want that to stop counting when we pause our game. So the best and most simple straightforward way to do this is to just use the built-in time scale in Unity to slow down time. So essentially what we'll do is as soon as the game is paused, we'll just go time scale equals 0f. So by default the time scale is 1, and 1 is just the normal passage of time. So if you want your game to run normally, you put it at 1. If you put it at 0, it'll mean time won't move at all, so your player will be frozen in position. Say if you jumped in the air and anything like that, your player will be frozen in place like that. You can set it to any value in between. You'll get kind of a slow motion effect, or set it at an even higher value and you'll get a super speed effect. If we set the timescale to 0 when we pause the game, obviously when we resume the game, we need to set it back to 1. But it's important to remember as well that if we go to restart the game, we need our time to go back to 1 as well. So we'll copy this here. And also when we load up into another level, if we go ahead and load that level, it won't start out with time moving if we stop the time. When we load up the next level, time will still be stopped. So we need to make sure to set time to be back to normal first and then load up our main menu level. So there we go. That's how we can pause time and get it going again. But obviously we also need to be able to activate and deactivate our pause menu. And to be able to do that, we're just going to go here and create our not create, but make a reference to our pause menu game object. We're going to hook that up in Unity now in a second. And basically all we're going to say is, okay, when we want to pause the game, we want to set that pause menu. We want to say set active true, so that the pause menu turns on when we pause the game. And then when we unpause it, we want to say, okay, pause menu dot set active false. So it gets disabled again, and we're able to go back to playing our game. So we'll save that. And now we pop back in here. And then on our pause button, once it compiles down here, on our pause button, we're going to scroll down to our pause menu script, and we see we've got an empty slot for our pause menu here. So we'll drag this boy in there, and there we go. And now, when we play the game, we should get the ability to pause it. So our guy starts running eventually. There we go. Oh. We're getting a strange error. I'm having a couple of issues with Unity on my end, so I'm getting these weird errors, and I'm not sure if that's one, the strange one, or it's just because I didn't do something properly. Let's see. Yeah, no, that should be working fine. So let's just check it again. The menu we had pop up there was just a normal det menu. Okay, so you look now, the error is gone. I'm getting a few strange issues here, but anyway, so we died there. We'll restart. We'll pause it. We've got our resume and our restart here. So I will try restart. Works. Oh, our restart doesn't work fine because yes, in our restart, we also need to make sure that our pause menu is deactivated. So here, just after our timescale is reset, we'll deactivate the menu again. That's obviously important. You don't need a pause menu to keep running the whole time. And actually, something I just noticed there is if we turn back on our pause menu here, I'm going to enter a button. You see, you end up with all these kind of weird arrows, and essentially that's Unity's default way of creating a browsing system for the game. So if you, if with this menu open, if we just hit play, if you use up and down on, if we can just get this going, or okay, it's not working for me now. I don't know why, but basically it's default, or Unity's default navigation system, so that you can navigate between these buttons without having to use the mouse to go over them, and you can just use up and down to go between them. But we don't want you to be able to go up and down and go up to the pause button here, because that doesn't make any sense. So basically we just go to the pause button, and on the navigation, here we go, navigation, it says automatic is where it generates all these little arrows, and we just say, okay, we don't want any navigation to get you up there. You can go up and down between these three buttons when the menu is open, that's fine. Okay, so we'll turn the pause menu back off again. And now we should get that we can pause the game and restart, and our menu won't be appearing. So we pause it. Okay, so now we can restart back to the start. Perfect. We can pause and we can resume. Get back to action. Oh, we fell down a hole. And then finally we can pause, quit to the main menu, and we're back out here. So we can play a game again, get going. So there you go. So over the last few episodes now, we've set up basically the basics of the menus that we're going to need for the game here. We're not going to really need anything else menu wise. That's pretty much all you really need at a basic level. If you want to start adding options and stuff, that's something you can start looking into later on. But for now, we're not going to take a look at that. But yeah, there you go. So we've covered menus, and there'll be more Endless Runner goodness coming in the very near future. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you very soon. Thanks for checking out this episode, and if you want even more Games Plus James goodness, make sure you hit those subscribe and like buttons. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook by following the links on screen, where you can find out all the latest news about the channel. And if you want to help support the show, check out the Patreon page, where you can get exclusive content in return for helping make the channel even better. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.